in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And as normally say, thrice welcome, hang the consequences. Founder story episode of the Good Listening Extinction Genius. It's the show businesses over the last year, and over the course of that journey, Ben has had an absolute breakthrough. And so I thought it'd be very, very exciting to get Ben, of all people, because at the end of this show, I don't doubt that Entrepreneurs Circle will want to have him stuffed and mounted in the foyer of their swanky new office buildings in Birmingham as a sort of happy customer because of the path you've been on. We will get on to that, but you are a roofer extraordinaire. And it's absolutely wonderful to have you here, Ben Foulkes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am extremely excited to be here. Slightly anxious, but excited to tell my story.
Lovely. And together we're going to get into the who, the what, the how, the why you do what you do.
Yeah.
And then crucially, we're going to find out in a very exciting section at the very end called Show Us Your QR Code, Please. We're going to show the audience exactly where we can come and find you. And in fact, you're so lovely in any case. That's just a fact. Ben Foulkes, as you will discover, is a lovely man. After we've recorded, in the return for a sandwich from a wonderful place called Sandwich, nom, 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 Ben is going to escort me. Well, I'm going to escort him to my house and he's going to have a look at my roof.
Yeah, win-win.
Win-win, chicken dinner. And in fact, Stan, my son, who's 18, he's also put in a pre-order for the nom, nom, nom sandwiches. So I'll be turning up. Don't worry, Stan, it's coming. It'll be there at 12:30. Ben Foulkes, welcome to the show. If people don't have a reference or frame of reference for you, what's your favourite way of saying what Ben Foulkes and Kempton Installation Services does?
Okay, so we are a roofing company based in the southwest of Birmingham, and we install and fix any roof we can, predominantly domestic customers. The business has been up and running now for nearly 8 years. We, as you previously mentioned, we're part of the Entrepreneurs Circle. So I've been part of the Entrepreneurs Circle, I think, for the last nearly 3 years. We've got a team of 12 people within the business at the moment. We are exponentially expanding the business. So things are extremely exciting currently. And yeah, our job is to try and take the stress out of people who have got leaky roofs.
And if I may say, we're off to the Kempton Races, gallopy, because of the several sessions we've had within the inner circle this year, there was a real epiphany that I noticed you were having. And it's the very clever way that Entrepreneur Circle have thought this through. They've got some extraordinary, powerful legends on the wall. I don't mean just legends of entrepreneurship, but literally wording that helps us all. And where you sit in the swanky inner circle hub, you were sitting by happy coincidence, and I'm not sure if they obviously planned this. You were sitting in front of a sign that says the worst thing you can do as a small business owner is to think, THINK, like a small business owner. Do you want to just tell the story of what happened for you this year and why it was such a revelation?
Yeah. So that date is ingrained on my brain. That was the 20th of May of this year. So every couple of months, Chris and I, and probably 9 or 10 other business owners, get in a room and we all kind of brainstorm our businesses. And I had been considering not coming to this session for the plain simple reason our business had struggled to get a rhythmic acquisition of customers. The meeting was on a Tuesday. I'd booked a fabulous holiday for me and my family on the Monday. No, sorry, that was on the Friday. We were going out on the Friday. We had no work booked in for the following Monday. I thought the last thing I needed to do was sit in a room with other people to tell them that I got no work. So I debated on whether it was the right thing to do. Reluctantly, went to the meeting and was, shall I say, a little bit down in the mouth. I didn't come across as positive as maybe I should be. And the guy that hosts this and the owner of Entrepreneurs Circle, a guy called Nigel, Botterill, really picks up quickly on your language and on the way you are coming across. And I think it's fair to say I was a little bit negative.
And you were very worried about the weather, which is part of the wonderful story.
Well, yes, absolutely. The problem that I thought I had, which I now don't think I've got, is that the weather was absolutely fantastic, as everybody will know if you live in the UK. We had probably 5 or 6 months of dry weather. But of course, for a roofing business, roofers or a roofing company love lots and lots of rain in the night, and then for it to be nice and dry in the day, so we can get up, all the phone calls come in, we can get out and get on with the work. And so I might have mentioned the weather a few times more than I should have. And I got, let's just say I got put in my place by a Mr. Botterill, who, let's say, dragged me over the coals, and he asked me to look over my left shoulder. I, at the time, was getting a little bit frustrated with the fact that I felt like I was being made to look a bit of a fool. So I looked over my left shoulder, not knowing what was on the wall. And there's this huge sign, which Chris knows it must be 15 foot wide by about 3 or 4 foot deep. And it says the words, "The problem with a small business owner, he thinks like a small business owner." Now, just to give you a bit of context on that, what I had said previous to me looking over my left shoulder was I was thinking of laying off a couple of the guys. We were going to maybe pull back on a bit of our advertising. And Nigel's reply to that was, "That's exactly what you should not be doing at this time. You shouldn't be going into your shell. You should be looking bigger, and it is all your fault. You dare lay anybody off." And that really was a massive turning point for me and my business. And instead of looking at your business in a negative way and thinking you've got to scale back, in times like that, it has taught me that actually you need to be looking at the bigger picture. And there was a conversation that was had within the inner circle with another one of our business, shall we call them colleagues, who was going into a factory very early to do menial tasks. And the group was asked, or Nigel asked the group, what would Richard Branson do? And another one of our members sarcastically said, well, of course, Richard Branson would wake up early, go into the factory and start printing some T-shirts, which is exactly what he wouldn't do. And this got me thinking that the problem with business owners, small-minded business owners, they focus on the menial tasks instead of looking at the bigger picture. So one of the things I do now in my little mind is I imagine what Richard Branson would be doing if he had the same problems that I did. And since that point, my business has exponentially, no pun intended, but gone through the roof.
I'm all over that pun, because this is raising the roof on your business by no longer thinking like a small business. And a bit like the analogy of using a drone to get up and look at all the potter roofs of the land. It's a bit like you've got a helicopter view now and you don't care about the weather anymore, which is really fantastic.
No, absolutely. So we've got a couple of marketing strategies that are working really well for us. So what we've done is just doubled down on those. And now I don't want the rain. No, I really don't. I want it to be nice and dry so we can get out there, because we have got a steady flow of customers now, which constantly keep calling us up with work, which I find unusual because I've ran this business for nearly 8 years now, and I've never really had a pipeline more than about 2 or 3 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm finding now that we are 6-8 weeks ahead, which is an unusual position for our business to be in.
And if I may say, I have in my hand a piece of paper, and this is something else you've done, which is called the Killer Flyer. Yeah. And I know that you curated this over several months. Do you want to just quickly talk about the story of that too?
Yeah, so there's a big trust issue within our industry, and we get a lot of, shall we say, rogue traders that aren't honourable and don't do a great job. And that's a double-edged sword for us, because we pick up a lot of our so-called competitors' work from shoddy workmanship. But the other problem that it gives us is that it's difficult to build up trust. And whenever we knock on somebody's door, somebody calls us, they're always questioning whether we're the real deal. And we wanted to try and combat that. And so we came up with an A5 size flyer, which is folded down to A4 size. And it's got lots of detail about our company, who we are. It tackles the biggest 10 or 11 questions that our customers constantly ask us. It's got reviews on the back that we've had recently from happy customers. It's got my founder story, just a little bit of history about how I started in business and how I got into roofing. And what this has had a profound kind of impact on our business, in the fact that we feel now that this does a lot of the hard selling for us. And when our customers call us up, we feel that when I do all the selling for our business, so I'll knock Mrs. Smith's door and say, hello, Mrs. Shaw. She said, I read your flyer from back to front. I read your founder story. You used to be a window cleaner. You don't know Bill down the road. He used to be a window. No, I don't know Bill, but it just builds up rapport. There's a couple of pictures on the flyer of myself, and your foot's halfway through the door.
Yes.
By the time you've got to there.
And the very clever disposition with this is that we're talking huge volume, as in I think it's about, you'll tell me the amount, but I've got in my head at least 10,000 per run. Yeah.
So we do 40,000. We started off with a test of 10,000 initially.
Yeah.
That didn't quite work. We tweaked and changed the flyer. Still, it was only a lukewarm response we got from it. What we found was we put a little picture on the back of our team of roofers. There's a 6 team, just a simple picture I took with my phone.
Yeah,
lads standing outside the van, and then we put my story in there.
Yes,
and that has incredibly had a huge difference. The other thing I'll mention, Chris, is that there's a lot of detail on this, and I think if I got this through the door, I'd probably just bin it off. But people who are serious about spending thousands of pounds on the roof, that is absolutely key. And what that has done, it's done several things. It builds up trust before we even get to the doorstep. It weeds out the messes, so it only really starts to market to money, so people that are serious about having our work done. And it gives an informative, fair view on roofing. One of the key things that we try to get across to our customers, and also I try to get across to our employees, is that we don't want to be going in with a salesy pitch. We want to try and educate.
Yep.
And even if what we are educating our customers, even if it's not right for our business, we'll always try and put them in the right direction, whether it means going with us or a competitor.
Yep.
So that's been profound. It's made a huge difference.
And what I also think is profoundly effective about that, it's a bit binary. If you want your roof looked at, you're going to read it cover to cover. If you don't, you can chuck it over your shoulder, and then the next time it comes around, weather notwithstanding, whenever you next get a problem, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought my business would be based on a flyer, but this is foundational for us. I thought I'd be coming up with some smart, jazzy, techie, internet kind of marketing strategy that I could brag about. But no, the old-fashioned way seems to be working well. And just back to your point as regards to the amount that we put out now, we started off with 10,000. We found that the third version of the flyer is the one that really started taking off. And so we had 40,000 of those printed. We've had them distributed. We've had a couple of rounds of those go out. But the response from that has been incredible. It's outstripping all the other marketing strategies that we've got. So we are now doubling down on it. So from this month, we've just started putting 80,000 flyers out. So
far from laying people off, you've actually raised the roof, and you're probably taking on more people now.
Yes, we are. The team, we've just employed a new operations person. She starts on the 20th. We're just about to take on 2 new sales guys, and they will also be starting on the 20th. So this is unfamiliar territory for me, but incredibly exciting. And we are building a really cool team. And what our aim is to try and provide a service that is second to none. We want to try and be the go-to roofing company in our area if possible.
And when I sat listening to you describing all of this, in the context of the inner circle, I thought, damn, he doesn't live in Bristol, because I would absolutely. So that's why I've got you coming around to my house, because you are just literally the trusted roofer as soon as I met you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. So talking about the funky sort of internet solution to a founder story, this is where Chris Grimes comes in with the founder story. So this is going to get deeper now into the story behind the story of being Ben Foulkes, who is the founder and the managing director. I'm assuming that's your big highfalutin title. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm a founder of the business.
Yes, and it's a family-run business. So is your wife a sort of co-partner in it as well?
No, she would like to be, but no, she's not at the minute. But she's now she's seen a bit of success. She's probably going to try and leverage her way in somehow, I'm sure.
Quite right too. So if I may, let's get you on the open road of the curated structure of the Good Listening To show. If you've not seen this before, where you've been, I've done about 270 of these monkeys, and this is a founder story. And there's going to be, as usual, a clearing, a tree, a lovely juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's going to be some alchemy, some gold, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, and a cake. Hurrah! So any questions before we start that?
No, I'm happy with that, mate. Yeah,
so
all good.
On to your founder story. You mentioned that this trip today to Bristol was familiar to you because you used to have an ex-girlfriend in Bath and you were sort of driving through.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, what is a clearing for you, Ben Foulkes? Where would you say you go to get clutter-free, inspirational, and able to think?
Oh, good question. I suppose my happy place would be my home. We are very lucky. We moved into a lovely little house in a lovely little area nearly 8 years ago, and that, I guess, is my sanctuary. We live in a very quiet little cul-de-sac tucked down in the bottom of the corner out the way. I've got a little office downstairs in the front room, and I can shut that door, lock the world away, and that's where I kind of, for want of a better phrase, beaver away and plan and plot my life and my business.
And is that the hub of Kempton Installation Systems?
It's not actually, no. So Kempton Installation Systems is based in an area called the Black Country, specifically Cradley Heath. So we have just moved from a 4-man office down into a 6-man office just down the end of the corridor. So I'm very fond of the Black Country people. I actually was born and bred in an area called Hale Zone. So that's right on the border.
Did you say Hale Zone?
Hale Zone.
That's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my accent. So that is right on the border of Birmingham and Black Country. And a proper Brummie would call me he would call me a yam yam.
Okay.
Yeah, but a yam yam is somebody from the Black Country, but a proper yam yam would say I'm a Brummie. So I'm neither here or there.
And where do the Peaky fucking Blinders fit in?
The Peaky Blinders are from Birmingham.
Yes, which is, I love, the accent is lovely because of course it's very regionally specific too, which is fantastic. So your serious happy place is your own man den within your own house, which is correct. Lovely. And is that where you've got high-tech stuff? And, is it a classic man den? Just talk us through what's in there.
No, it's not a classic man den. It is a room with a desk and a computer. It's got a vision board on there. So I stick all my little notes on there and my targets and goals and my top 10 list of things I want to achieve. It's got a little cabinet on the side. It's got a few pictures of our family and friends. I've got a couple of sporty pictures of Gaza volleying the ball in against Scotland when we beat Scotland 2-1. I think it was in the Euros qualifiers, maybe. And I think that's pretty much it. Very simple but cozy, and it suits me down to the ground.
And that's where we're going to base it. Now I'm going to arrive with a tree in your clearing, which is a little bit disruptive, I get, but it's a bit Waiting for Godot-esque, a bit deliberately existential because of my acting background. And I'm now going to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out.
Okay.
How do you like these apples? You want to catch an apple? See how you do at catching.
Yeah, I'm all right. I was decent at rounders.
And this is now a lovely juicy a storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've had 5 minutes, Ben Foulkes, to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, 3 things that inspire you, two things that never fail to grab your attention, and I'll mention some squirrels at that point when we get to it, and then the one is a quirky or unusual fact about you and or your business that you'd like to tell us about.
Okay,
so it's
cool.
not a memory test. So what would you say 4 things are? The idea being that round about once a decade something pretty seismic will have happened to you. So what shaped you?
Good question. I'm not sure if I can think of 4 things. I can definitely think of 2 or 3, which I'm sure will fill the time. I suppose one of the biggest things that has shaped myself, and maybe not a lot of people know this, is that I was born into a very religious background. So I was born into the Jehovah's Witnesses group.
Okay.
And that was a very different upbringing to, let's say, what my daughter's got now. We were very strictly religious. We would have church meetings on a Thursday, a Tuesday, and on a Sunday. We would go, I'm sure everybody's had this at some point, knock on the door, you open the door, and it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, we used to do that. And that
the difference being now you've got a roofer's flyer. Yeah. You've got Kempton Installation.
Let me tell you, if you can sell the Bible, you can definitely sell roofing. And so being part of that, I'd lots of positives and a few negatives. And let's stick to the positives. I suppose I've thought about the question you just asked me quite a bit, and what being part of that group did for me. As a young lad, you would be asked to maybe read a couple of pages of the Bible and then try and describe that to a group of maybe 200, 250 people. And I suppose as I've grown up, that has kind of carried through, and I've always been relatively confident. I think, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I've been relatively confident at speaking in front of people. And that gave me structure to my life. It gave me kind of rules and regulations that we all abided to, and in that regard, it had a really positive effect on my outlook. And what I mean by that was that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Christmas. They don't celebrate birthdays. As a kid, we weren't allowed to go into assemblies in the morning. So 5 or 6 years at primary school, we'd be sitting in the class. When I say we, my sister, I've got 2 sisters and a younger brother. So they'd obviously be in different classes, but every morning we'd spend 20, 30 minutes on our own. 5 or 6 years.
So feeling different by definition.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes if you had a standing teacher, you'd have to stand up and go, "Miss, I can't go into assembly because I'm a Jehovah's Witness." And that has really taught me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and not follow the crowd. And it's taught me that I can do without, because we go back to school after Christmas and people would be talking about the Christmas presents and the Star Wars things and the He-Man, whatever it was. And we didn't have that. And I never really missed that because we never really had it.
Yeah.
But what it's done to me as an adult, it's learnt me that I don't need to. It's taught me that I don't need materialistic stuff. I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can run a business.
Yeah.
If for want of a better word, the shit hits the fan, then I can deal with it.
Or periods of austerity or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then may I ask what happened in terms of the family shift, whereby your parents brought you up in that way, but it sounds like, reading between the lines, you don't bring either up in the same way.
Yeah, correct. So we left what they call the Jehovah's Witnesses when I was around about 12. So I was born into it, and that has a profound effect on you when everybody's moving in the same direction. Everybody you socialise with believes in this one thing. When we were 12, mum and dad decided to leave that. At the time, I didn't realise, but my mum and dad were quite wild when they were younger. And I was brought up in this idyllic religious life. The grass was cut every weekend. We had lovely flowers in the garden. Mum was a stay-at-home housewife. The house was immaculate. My dad had a job in a factory, used to ride to work on a moped. Everything was neat and tidy. We had structure, we had regularity. And when we came out of that, my mum and dad were very young when they had me. They were early 20s, 21.
Yeah. Are they still both with us?
They are both with us.
Yeah.
They're not together currently, but they are both here. I'm lucky to have both of them around. And they let's just say we went from one life to another. My dad had a bit of a colourful background when we were teenagers, and we went from neatly cut grass to 4-foot grass. We went from nice, neat cars to, let's say, not nice, neat cars. And I saw two different sides to life.
Do you want to say a bit more about what happened to your dad to make that transition happen, or maybe you don't?
Dad was made redundant when I was about 12 or 13. He set up his own window cleaning round. He did that part-time, and he, shall we say, he had sticky fingers, and he had a colourful background, shall we say.
Sure.
And that was a very different way of life to what we were brought up in and what we were taught to be. I'll be honest, at the time when I was a teenager, I was so happy to get out this religious kind of thing. I was just like,
Christmas,
seatbelt,
Star Wars.
I was out, and we were, homework went down the pan. We were out and about. But we did start celebrating Christmas, but I used to, and even to this day, not uncomfortable. I felt really uncomfortable about it when in my teens, but people very often say, "Oh, it feels like Christmas," or that it felt like Christmas when I did it. And I've got no epiphany. I've got no relation to that. I haven't got that in my mind. I don't get that. So Christmas is a bit of a weird time for me. We make it really special. My partner Joanne is absolutely amazing at making it a real special time for Eva and our family. It's not a fond kind of thing.
Yes,
I have memories of because they just weren't there. But I suppose my point is trying to bring this story full circle, is that we had an idyllic life, and then we had a very chaotic few years.
So both sides of the tracks were experienced.
Absolutely. My dad then kind of got himself straight and focused on his window cleaning round. I then got into smoking dope and went to college and got thrown out. My dad dragged me by the scruff of my neck up the stairs and was not entirely happy with me. And that is when he dragged me on his window cleaning round.
Oh, wow.
And as an 18-year-old lad, going out with your dad in his knackered old Ford van with ladders on the top does your street cred no good at all whatsoever.
But may I say, the van you've turned up with today, your own Kempton Installations van with a ladder strapped on the top, looks very swanky indeed.
Yes, thank you. And it doesn't have a broken roof like my dad used to have.
Yeah.
It didn't have a cracked wing screen, and it doesn't have a blowing exhaust. So yeah, times are very different now.
What a great memory. And of course that got you on the path then of contemplating a house as something where you can do something helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you mean as regards to roofing? Is that...
well, because it sounds like the perfect genesis for a roofer to have started off as a window cleaner, because you're always shivving up ladders approaching the roof.
I worked with my dad then, just so we're clear, me and my dad have got a great relationship, and as I have with my mum, but me and my dad are best buddies.
Oh, that's so lovely.
We are. He's 72 years of age.
He's lived a life which sounds fantastic and profound. And
absolutely.
None of us are perfect.
This is my second thing I was going to come on to. My dad has really helped shape my life too. What I love about my dad is he just does not worry. He doesn't worry. I'm sure he does, but compared to myself and the general population, he's not a worrier. I will very often go around to his desk. Oh, Dad, I've got this problem. And he'll go to me. Have you got a roof over your head? I go, yeah. He goes, you got food in the cupboard? I go, yeah. Because you still got that flash motor on the drive? I'll go, yeah. Because there's the heating on? I'll go, yeah. He goes, well, what the? He goes, I had all the problems that you had with 4 kids and no money. Get on with it. And my dad really brings me down and sets me straight. And he has really helped shape the person I am today.
If I may say, it's a bit like your dad's always footing your ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Yeah, he's been a big influence on me. He's got a very carefree. My dad's never had any money, ever, never. And I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever met an happier guy than my dad. He loves a good drink. He'll go to the booze. He doesn't work any longer. He'll go to the pub on the afternoon about 5, have his 3 or 4 pints, come home, have his dinner, get to bed, wake up and just take it easy. He is someone that doesn't stress about things too much. and I admire that. And like I say, I think if it weren't for my dad, he beasted me from when I was about 16 to 20 on what I should and shouldn't do. He just wouldn't relent. He wouldn't give up. I was starting to get into a bit of trouble when I got into my teenage years, and graffiti and smoking dope and one thing or another. So yeah, he put me on the straight and narrow, and we've had an amazing relationship. I feel very lucky to have the relationship I've got with my
and I love the authenticity of your own warts and all story, because of course it's just wonderful what you're describing. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we're still in the shapeage. Would you like to say anything else that shaped you?
Yeah, I would say definitely my partner Joanne and I have been together for 15 years. Joanne's got a very different view on life to me. I'm a little bit more risk averse. No, so she's a little bit more risk averse than I, but she's a really quick decision maker.
Yeah,
I like to ponder over things, take my time. I think, oh, should I do that? Should I do this? And she's very intuitive.
Yeah.
So Joanne's had a big impact on my life for sure. She's also one that doesn't worry too much about what people think of her. She'll say a spade is a spade in no uncertain terms, and so that can provide me with fun and pain of equal amounts on some days. But no, Joanne is a superstar, and she's kind of, I suppose, my rock that when I'm worrying, I'll go to her, my dad, and we'll talk it out. And then, of course, I can't say the fourth thing I would mention that shaped me is my daughter, Eva. She's nearly 11 now. Joanne and I struggled quite a bit to conceive a child. We miscarried 5 times.
Wow.
And so that was difficult. I think it's more difficult generally on the lady, because obviously the emotionally and physically they have to go through a lot of pain. So that was a tricky couple of years for us. But Eva came out of all of that. And Eva is when, I guess, some people may or may not be able to relate to this, but when you struggled to conceive and have a child, when they finally do come, it is pretty cool. And so Eva is our inspiration. Just a very, very quick story. I didn't settle down until I was about 39. I was ready to kind of settle down and have kids in my early 20s, but I got let down quite a few times by ladies, should we call them, or women. And so when I got to my 30s, I was like, stuff this, I am done. So we came to the party late, I guess, but we are very grateful to have Eva. I think we mentioned this earlier, didn't we? My daughter's nearly 11, going on 21. And so that is challenging. And every time I mention that to people, they say, oh, you ain't sure she's a teenager. So we've got some fun and interesting years ahead, I think.
What a wonderful shapeage. Thank you so much. Now we're on to 3 things that inspire you, Ben Foulkes. So,
good question. Again, I don't want to go on about my daughter too much, but she's a complete inspiration to me. She is, I try not to be, what's the word? I try not to have kind of favoritism towards her. I try and look at her in a kind of fair way, but she's, the 2 things I wish for my daughter to be is kind and happy. And she's both of those.
Oh,
she's incredibly sweet. She's energetic. Her vivacious kind of energy is infectious. And it's amazing to have her with me sometimes in the 6 weeks holiday. I'll take her to work and she'll be in the office. And it's brilliant to look at the world through a 10-year-old's eyes.
Yeah.
And she is really an inspiration to me.
I know she's called Eva, but it's very inspirational having a daughter of a roofer who's called Eve. See what I did there?
Yeah, so for sure Eva's an inspiration. And the other thing I guess is what inspires me is the world around us and nature. Eva and I were driving back home only a couple of nights ago, and we had this beautiful sunset. Yeah, we get sunsets in Birmingham, believe it or not, and it was this amazing sunset. So we stopped, we drove back up the hill. She got a camera out and we started taking shots, and I just love anything to do with nature. I love a good documentary. I absolutely love Richard Attenborough Sunday evening. We'll get stuck into that. The missus will be watching some kind of reality TV show, Love Island, and I'll put on a nature documentary. So yeah, I get inspired by the world around us. I just think that we are so lucky to live on this amazing planet with all these amazing opportunities. Sometimes life can be that busy we don't stop enough to look around, and I'm lucky enough now to have my business in a good place. We go away quite a lot, and we're able to now really kind of breathe it in and take in life. And I'm sure you know this, Chris, because I mentioned it a few times. I'm 50 very shortly.
You are. And you've already started doing some quite exciting things.
Yeah, absolutely. And my life is going a lot quicker than I would like it to be. And I think it's important to stop and appreciate the world that we live in sometimes. So that's a big inspiration for me. And then inspiration as regards to business. I'd actually spoken to my partner about this. I said, I'm not sure what we could. I don't. She said one name to me, Malcolm, and Malcolm is a guy that used to own a UPVC company. He approached our business 20 odd years ago and said, would you like to run our cleaning department? Because I used to run cleaning businesses many years ago, and he started off from scratch. Lived in the 2 up, 2 down in the inner city of Birmingham. Without going on too much, he created a business, and within about 10 years, they were turning over 5 million quid a year. And that business still runs to this day. It's 35 years old now. He has sailed off into the sunset, and it runs itself. And I suppose he, without me really realizing it, he was a big inspiration to me business-wise. I used to look at him and think, wow.
And what's Malcolm's second name?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
But just know. He is Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm from Rydale Windows, if I'm allowed to say that.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're based in a similar area to us, Southwest Birmingham. But yeah, business wise, he was a big inspiration to me.
Is he still in touch? Are you still in touch? Or probably?
Yeah, no, we are actually. He's very good friends with my dad. He's probably early 70s now.
Yeah.
So he's moved away. He's been abroad for probably the last 15, 20 years. He runs his business remotely now, and he's got a great team that
and where's he ended up geographically?
He's dotted all over the place.
Okay.
I think currently he's in Thailand, but he spends a lot of time in Australia and all over Europe. So yeah, he's got the life.
He's taken the roof off his own business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The sky's the limit, as they say. If you haven't got a roof, the sky's the limit, quite literally. Brilliant influencings as well. Thank you very much indeed. And now we're on to the squirrels. What are your two squirrels? This is borrowed from the film Up, where the dog goes, oh, squirrels. We've all got our things that never fail to stop us in our tracks and distract us, irrespective of anything else that's going on for us.
Yeah.
So what are your squirrels?
For me, I always get distracted by a good sports game. I was relatively sporty when I was younger. Never played at any decent level. Kind of nearly got to maybe a level below semi-pro football, but captain of the Rounders team, captain of the football team at primary school, and I can't but help if there's a competition on the TV, I'm all in. It drives my missus mad. She said anything to do with the ball, and that's it, you're gone. Even down to I like it, to try and keep fit. I go jogging a couple of times a week, do a little bit of weight training, but not much at all. And even if I'm driving down the road, I see a jogger, and I'll stare at them, just see how fast they go and what they look like. They're big, tall, fat, slim, and
that's a great sort of dog squirrel. The idea of a ball, because you're always playing fetch in your own head with the ball that you can see. Fetch.
Yeah, correct. So it drives Joanne, my partner, absolutely crackers. She thinks I'm nuts. She goes, why are you looking at that guy jogging down the road? I was just saying, I'm looking at how fast he runs. She doesn't quite get that. So yeah, anything to do with sport, and I'm all in. Love watching the Olympics. Love watching the footy. I got into I never thought I'd get into women's rugby so much, but they've just won the World Cup, and I'm now their newest biggest fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything to do with sports, Chris.
Great squirrel.
And I'm all in on that. And I just can't help but get sidetracked when I walk past the TV or a sports pitch, and I just get engrossed in whatever's on there.
That's a great squirrel. You're allowed a second squirrel.
I thought about this. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to say this is probably going to upset the missus, but I did kind of mention this. The one I can't, and it's just appeared to me in my mind, and this has been me. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, being far too honest. When I hear a pair of high heels behind me, I can't help but look. I can't. And that is the truth. And sometimes they're not a pair of high heels. A big bloke will be wearing them. I'm like, oh shit. But that's me being brutally honest. Joanne, sorry.
That's just such a lovely human thing. The click, click, click in the background. And if she's holding a ball, then we're lost.
Well, yeah. If she's running along with a rugby ball, then yeah, win-win.
And I think Eve being so the Adam and Eve, I'm talking about temptation. Anyone in heels with a ball is going to be somebody or Adam and Eve.
Yeah, Joanne will be dressed in a rugby kit and high heels when I get back.
That's wonderful. And now we're on to one, which is a quirky or unusual fact about you, Ben Foulkes. We couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us.
Again, I'm not sure if I'm not very comfortable with saying this, but I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know about myself is that I don't mind an afternoon snooze.
I'm there. I'm there.
I don't mind an afternoon snooze, and this is not something recently that's happened to me. This is something that I've probably done since I was kind of early 20s. I get incredibly tired when it gets about 3-4 o'clock, and my productivity goes down like you wouldn't believe. So I enjoy an afternoon snooze. It's incredibly important to me to have a snooze at least 2 or 3 times a week. I actually put it in my diary to go home and have a snooze.
I'm sure that's incredibly helpful for anyone watching. I'm right there. I'm a samurai power napper, and just 20 minutes is all I need. 20 to 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, it's not about me. But
no. I like that. I'm glad that you're on board. I thought you were going to look at me.
No. I'm Captain Cheeky Nap, whereas my wife Jenny gets a migraine if she tries that.
Well, I've mentioned this to a couple of my friends before now. We're going out on the weekend actually with some family friends.
Yeah.
And the wife of the family friend knows us very well, and apparently Joanne had a conversation with her, said we'll meet up at 5. And the family friend said, will that be too early? Because Ben's going to need a nap, isn't he? So I actually thought it was very abnormal of me for many years.
Yeah.
So what I purposely made sure I didn't have an afternoon nap for about nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
And I just could not work out what was going on with me. My mental health wasn't very good at all.
Yeah.
I went to the doctors and explained my feelings to him. I just said, I'm just not happy. He said, are you having thoughts of suicide? Are you feeling? I said, no, nothing like that. I said, I just can't find I'm just not happy. I'm finding it difficult to enjoy things. He offered me antidepressants, which I refused. So this went on for quite a few months. And then someone put me in touch with a holistic doctor. So I went to see the holistic doctor. She said you're quite low in magnesium and zinc, and she went through lots of different things. And then she got to the sleep thing. We stumbled across this accidentally. And she said, you know, what has anything changed over the last months, few years? And I thought, actually, I've not had a snooze for a while. And I said, but I'm running a business. I'm busy, sleeping in the day, doesn't suit. And I'll never forget this. She said to me, Ben, everybody is different. She said, some people are tall, some people are short, some people can run fast, some people can't. Some people are thin, some people are fat. She said, some people need 8 hours, some people need 6, and some people need an afternoon snooze. And I was like, wow, yeah. And so honestly, true story, at the time I was window cleaning with a couple of guys, and the following day I went to work, I got home, got myself in bed, had an hour and a half sleep, and I woke up and I thought, oh my God, this is what I needed. And that honestly, for my own mental, even to this day, that makes a massive difference to my productivity. If I have a snooze in the afternoon 2 or 3 times a week, I'll get through maybe 3 hours work in an hour and a half, I can just focus. I can think clearer. I can solve problems easier. And so I guess that is my guilty pleasure, shall we call it?
And I commend you for it, because I'm right there.
Yeah.
So the optimum time for you is an hour and a half, is it?
No, actually, it like 30 to 40 minutes I can do, but I suppose an hour is kind of the actual secret kind of.
We have shaken your tree majestically, if I may say. Now we stay in the clearing, which is still in your lovely man den at your house. And now we're going to talk about alchemy and gold, and go where you like, pertaining to Kempton Installation Systems as well in this regard. But when you're at purpose and in flow, what are you absolutely happiest doing in what you're here to reveal to the world?
I suppose I love, more than anything, socializing. I love being in a group of people. I love contributing to a goal or an aim or a purpose. I always remember being at school and being one of the oldest kids in the year, and I was able to leave at like 3 or 4 months earlier than a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I stayed on because I just love being at school, and I love being with my mates. I love socializing. I love being around other people. And I suppose my happy place, I'm lucky to be able to do kind of two things that I really love now, because I'm do all the sales for our business. We've got a team of 12 people now. So not only am I helping lead a team to a common goal, common purpose, I also go out and do the door-to-door sales as well. So I'm helping people solve issues. So I suppose, in answer to your question, in a nutshell, socializing, helping people, I would reluctantly say I'm a little bit of a leader. I ran a men's football team for nearly 18 years. We got promoted once. We won 2 or 3 cups, which was pretty cool. I've now passed that on to 2 younger guys, and they've now last season got promoted into the bottom tier of, I think it's the West Midlands Regional League.
Yeah.
So if they get promoted 8 seasons in a row, they'll end up in the Prem. So
you were there at the beginning.
I won't be funding that though. So yeah, I guess socializing and being part of a team is my happy place.
Wonderful. And now I'm going to award you with a cake. Hurrah! So, do you like cake, Ben?
Love a cake, carrot cake.
And that's that's a dog toy carrot cake right there.
Yeah.
So a carrot cake shall be yours. Now you get to put a cherry on your cake, and this is the final storytelling suffused metaphor. What's a favorite inspirational quote? It could even be the worst thing you could do as a small business is to think like a small business, but maybe not. I'm just
absolutely.
What is your favorite inspirational quote?
That has got to be right up there, Chris. Genuinely, that has got to be up there for me. Being a small business owner and thinking like a small business owner is a fatal kind of issue that small business owners have. You and I know from being in the inner circle group that if you think like a small business owner, then you're not going to go far. And so that I've had that laminated and printed and put in our new office, and I put the date in the right hand corner.
And just reminders of the date, because that was your epiphany.
That's the 20th of May 2025. That was a Tuesday. Someone's going to check that. It's going to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's bang on right.
I love it, and it's so appropriate you've had it laminated.
Yeah. But a couple of other quotes, and it is similar to that, is success is the other side of fear. Success is the other side of fear. And when you're worrying about something and you think you can't do it and you back out, maybe you should push on. Because if you push through that fear, which I've done recently, you get to the other side, you think, shit, actually it's not quite as scary as I thought it was going to be. And so that is a profound one for me. But one more I will add to that. And one of my, we grew up with a group of 11 guys when we were younger, and we all used to meet on the Stag car park at 7 o'clock. No mobile phones in those days. So 7 o'clock every night, we did that for about 6 or 7 years. If you weren't there for 7, 15, we'd be gone, and that's it. You'd miss the buzz. And so we called ourselves the Stag 11. And
so Stag is a pub car park, is that right?
Stag is a pub car park.
Yeah.
So we were really tight as teenagers. We went on our first Ibiza holidays when we were 17, 18, hired mopeds, got into all kinds of scrapes. And And we have all drifted. We've settled down. We've had kids and moved away and one thing or another. We keep in touch, but we only ever meet up in groups of 2 or 3. So what we'd said we'd do is, we're all 50 this year. We said we'd meet up, do something. So in November, we all met up and decided to go to Pamplona, to the Ball Festival, do the running of the balls. Just very quickly, they let 10 balls loose through the streets of Pamplona. You stand in the road and you have to leg it for your life. It's pretty scary, but very exhilarating if you can come out alive, which obviously I have. But what was great about meeting up with those group of friends after all those years, it was we just, within 30 seconds of meeting them, we just slipped back into what we were like when we were kids. And there's so much history and there's so much banter. It was just amazing to spend that time with old pals. And what we got back from that holiday, and one of our friends sent us, we're on a WhatsApp group, he sent us a message. I'm sure he didn't make it up, but it was pretty cool. And it said something like, true friendship endures distance, time and silence. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's exactly what we have. We don't need to speak for maybe months or years at a time. We don't need to see each other. And when we do meet up, it's just like we've never been away. So what I would say is, if there's some friends or family members you've not spoke to for a while that you really click with, I would encourage you to get in touch with them, because 3 or 4 days that we had away were just super cool. And what we decided to do is meet up every 12 months now. So we're going to go to the Tomatina Festival next year in Spain.
Oh yes, that's the tomato hurl one. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we've got booked in the diary for next year.
And is the squad all still there?
Yeah, pretty much. All 11 of us, we're still live and kicking. I think out of the 11, I think 7 of us managed to get away for a few days. Hopefully we can get the other 3 or 4 members on board for next year.
And how appropriate that's a squad of 11, which is your dream football team. And also, as you're called the Stag, you're born to go to stag events. And it sounds very filmic, the idea that you'd meet sort of in the dusk light in the Stag car park every night, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I love that.
That sounds that's very cool and romantic. But if I'm honest with you, we actually met outside the carpet shop in the doorway because it had a bit of a shelter. It was usually raining. So not quite as glamorous. But yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's a great story. Wonderful. So what we're ramping up to now in a moment is to talk about Shakespeare, to talk about legacy and how you'd most like to be remembered. But just before we get there, as you've experienced this from within now, this is called Pass the Golden Baton, please. A bit like, they don't like it happen, Mr. Menring. But is there anyone in your network who you might like to pass the golden baton along to?
Yeah, I think my dad has got an amazing story to tell. I'd like to pass the baton on to him. He is the father of 4 children. I don't think, not that I'm aware of, he's got any more than that. I hope not. Anyway, he's led a very colourful life. He came from nothing. He met my mom. They were very young when they settled down. They moved away from their kind of lives they grew up in. And my dad always bangs on about the fact that he's incredibly happy and proud of all 4 of his kids because they've gone on to do better than he has. We've got 11 grandkids between us now. And my dad has got some cool stories. So I'd like to pass the baton on to him.
And what's his name, Ben?
His name's Barry Foulkes.
Barry Foulkes.
Yeah.
And I've just realised I've been pronouncing Foulkes wrongly. It's Foulkes.
No, well, that's probably my accent. Foulkes. I've been called all sorts. So.
Barry Foulkes. And extraordinarily, by happy coincidence, as you well know, I'm in the inner circle trying to develop the idea of what's already out there called Legacy Life Reflections, which is to use this structure to record that story of that precious someone for posterity. And if I may, that sounds like the perfect sort of lens in which to wrap the story of Barry in as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you. That's a really generous baton pass. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So just before we get onto the Shakespeare, this is a very exciting moment where Courtney, our wonderful technical assistant, is going to help as well. It's called Show Us Your QR Code, Please. You won't see it on here.
Okay.
But anyone watching at the moment. So Ben Foulkes, first of all, talk to us about the URL of Kempton Installation Services if we want to find you as the extraordinarily trustworthy roofer that you are.
Okay. So our business is based in, as I've already said, southwest Birmingham in an area called Cradley Heath. Our website is www.kemptoninstallations.co.uk. You can find some amazing and interesting facts about roofing on that website. All our contact details are on there. And so if you've got an issue with your roof or would like to talk about roofing in general, call that number.
Lovely. And you've got a beautiful flyer which we can show back up to the camera.
Yeah. Am I going there?
Yes, there. So this is the 40,000 is the most recent run you're doing.
We are actually doing 80,000 of these flyers this month. So we've currently been doing 40,000 every month, but we've ramped that up to 80 this October.
And I know that that's an Entrepreneurs Circle imperative as well, where they coach an entity like yourself through how to come up with the killer flyer, as it's called.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we put a lot of, for want of a better word, a lot of gumph together, just a lot of facts and figures about the business, a story about myself, and then, as I said to you before, the reviews, and then we just kind of cherry picked what we think may or may not work. Like I say, we did trial and test it a couple of times and it didn't have a
It makes complete sense that the third iteration is the one that works, because of course the best communication skills happens in threes.
Oh, okay.
That's all good.
Yeah, so it's working like a treat. But we do, as Nigel Botterill said, we think this is, in football terms, a championship flyer. We want to get it into the Premier League, and we've got a couple, well, I've got a couple of ideas for that, which will we're going to try and implement over the next coming weeks. So fingers crossed that will change and do more revenue for us.
Taking the roof off your business with Ben Foulkes. Love that. And yes, we're off to the Kempton Races, as I said already. And now, inspired by Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and all the better women merely players. How, when all is said and done, Ben Foulkes, would you most like to be remembered?
I think I would like to be remembered as a good, kind, inspirational guy that said it the way it was and was brave enough to go for his goals, I guess. That is probably the best way. I'd like people to think of me as just a good person that was there to try and help other people.
There'll be one more important thing for you to say in a moment. There's just a couple of announcements, more QR codes. If you've enjoyed the show in the format and would like to have a conversation about guesting yourself, then the website for the show is thegoodlisteningtoshow.com. If you'd like to join with me on LinkedIn, you can. I know you're going to get into trouble because you're not on LinkedIn at the moment. What are you playing at?
Correct.
I think Nigel Botterill will have a few things to say about that. So yes, you can't find Ben on LinkedIn, but you can find me on LinkedIn. And then also the really exciting thing that I'm at Entrepreneurs Circle, and I exhibited about this at the recent Entrepreneurs Convention a couple of weeks ago. I had an exhibition stand about legacylifereflections.com, where my own father, Colin Grimes, who died a year ago, was a very willing guinea pig for the idea of, without any morbid intention, recording either your story or the story of that precious someone for posterity, lest we forget before it's too late, using the unique and what's been called thoroughly enjoyable storytelling structure of what it is you've been observing today. So I've been Chris Grimes. Most importantly, this has been Ben Foulkes from Kempton Installation Services. As this has been your moment in the sunshine in the Good Listening To Show, stories of distinction and genius, Ben, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I guess the one thing I would add, all through my life, I've doubted myself. And I've worried needlessly about things that probably don't matter so much. And so if there's any one thing I would finish on is, for me, I put a lot of doubt in my own mind, and I suppose it's difficult if you're a worrier, but life is very short, and I would say stress not, worry less, go for what you want, enjoy your life. We'll all be gone very soon, so effing go for it.
Barry Foulkes will be proud.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ben Foulkes. I've been Chris Grimes. Thank you very much indeed. Good night.